First time in a long time, but back like I never left. Taking each day as it comes, you know me, I don't read ahead. Watch me burn down everything, BDE on the TV set. When I'm in control on the road, you could never really know what's up next.
Hello, Braden Herrington here for Up Next. You found us at postwrestling.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever podcast app you are using right now. Maybe you're in the YouTube chat. It's Tuesday, December 10th. We're live right after NXT, so we're back to a bit of a normal schedule here. But as you could tell, there was no echo in my hello there off the top. My British Canadian pal is still across the pond, but have no worry. He will return next week. But I've made another hot tag. I've reached down into the post-wrestling NIL. We found someone using Synergy of the website, and I have reached out to a one, Jack Wannan. Am I pronouncing it right? Because I feel like I mess it up every time I say your last name. Hello, good sir.
It's Jack Wannan, but you know Wannan. What? Nobody gets it right the first try, so I'm not offended at all.
Listen, I keep calling you Jack Wannan, so I'm sorry. But Jack Wannan.
It's great to be here. My post wrestling party trick that I always pull out is telling people I listened to you when I was in like grade 9 and I was like 15 and stuff like that. So I mean, this is a big moment for me finally being on a podcast with Braden, because I was 8 a.m. I was taking the TTC to school, listening to your reviews. I was listening to John and Wayne and all the team. And when I tell them this, it horrifies them, as it should. But all jokes aside, I'm very happy that I've been invited here, and I'm excited to talk some NXT.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Thank you. You're making me feel old now. This is like how it felt when I was, hey, John Pollock. Wow, I'm doing shows with you and stuff. So, I mean, this is Up Next, and Jack, I've been stuck in developmental for way too long. I've been talking about NXT for a long time. So appreciate the love. And I met you through Post Wrestling and John and Way. We went to, I know you've been working on the site, and I've seen your name on Post Wrestling and stuff, specifically a lot of MMA and stuff. But we had a little get together about this year or something, and we hit it off. And then we've kind of hung out with the whole Post Wrestling Toronto group. And then we went to some wrestling a few weeks ago as well. So when Davie was away, I was kind of thinking, like, how do we get some more synergy with the site? And I saw that, as someone who, like I said, stuck in developmental, I thought, why not? Let's get someone who hasn't made an Up Next debut, but works for Post Wrestling. And I feel like you're very well knowledgeable in wrestling from some of our conversations. It seems like you watch everything, right? You seem like you know your stuff.
I try to keep my tabs on everything. I'm happy I got the opportunity to be here. You were able to figure it out with my agent. I heard the first offer was a little too low, but we got it. Right. We got it up a little. We got it figured out.
My guy will talk to your guy, who will probably talk to Way's guy, and then we'll get things done. But welcome to the show, and I'm super happy to have you. We're going to talk about some NXT and kind of everything else that's going on in the world. Hello, everyone. If you're tuning in, yes, we are Up Next. I'm Braden, and we are also known as Poisonrana. Braden and Davie, the BDE, Poisonrana.ca. Check us out for all the other stuff we do. We have a patreon.com/Poisonrana, and this week we have a review of Saturday night's main event 7, featuring Hogan versus Mr. Wonderful, but also featuring the snake pit match, which may or may not have been a alligator or Komodo dragon. I'm not sure what they thought it was. That's far beyond your years there, Jack. It's far beyond mine, to be honest. But me and Davey went back and watched it, and this review is dropping tomorrow, as well as a review of the Suicide Squad from 2021. A few best matches ever in there. So lots and lots of stuff, as well as some Christmas movies coming in the next few weeks with Davey back. So lots of shows. Check us out and search Poison Rana in your podcast feed and go give us a follow on Blue Sky and all that stuff. And appreciate everyone out there in the Postmark community because, again, love the family. And another plug. I know a show on here, NWA, are doing a Christmas party or a kickback, if you will, on Sunday. And I may or may not be making an appearance on that. So I heard they go like Broadway. I heard they go like 7 or 8 hours.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
I was about to ask, are you showing up in the 5th hour or what's going on?
Yeah. I think I do have like Christmas stuff to do, like a family thing or whatever. So I'm like, okay, I can make it later. They'll probably still just be starting. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Brother Nate, the legend of the podcast game, and super looking forward to the kickback. But also want to let people know that on Sunday, the 22nd of December, Davey and I will be hosting the second annual I think it's second annual, might be more than that, Poisonrana Christmas party from 4 p.m. Eastern time to about 8. We probably won't go 5 hours like the NWA, but on December 22nd, 4 p.m., Davey and I will be hosting a Christmas party. We'll be live here on our Poisonrana YouTube, so go give us a follow there. And we'll have some guests, and we'll be playing some party games, maybe bust out the wrestling improv again, but party favors will be had. Bring your cold ones, smoke them if you got them, but the 22nd, 4 to 8. Jack, you are cordially invited to the
thank you
party live.
Is it too late to join the Secret Santa?
True, we haven't had one yet, but I did just record an episode of The Detox with Jordan Goodman, and we discussed White Elephant, which I learned is this pretty much the same thing as like Secret Santa, where like you buy a gift and then like you play a game. Have you ever done this at a Christmas party?
No.
Crazy. I've done it a few times, but you like have a limit, you buy something, and then people like can steal and trade, and you don't know what you're getting. So you're buying like something pretty.
You see, those are hard though, because I mean, I feel like with Secret Santa, and you're gifting for the person you're gifting for, like there's some like general idea of what they want, where if you don't know who the gift is going to go to, they could completely hate what you're getting. Like you have to go really general. Yeah. Like last year, I forget what I got that I put in because my girlfriend did it, and we did it as a pair. Which now I'm like, this year, no, we do it individually. But we ended up walking away with karaoke mics, which was very fitting for me, right? Like so, the ones with like the speaker on them.
Yeah. Which they don't get that loud still. So, but they're still pretty cool. So now I have like 4 of those for some reason. But yes, we're in the festive season here, and we're doing a Christmas party on the 22nd, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. So hopefully you guys can join us live, and I think we'll play some games, and we've got pretty rowdy on these things before, so definitely looking forward to that. But we just had a lot of wrestling, as wrestling never seems to stop. I just did a review of Deadline on the show. I was joined by Sino Evil, Mr. John Sino, who filled in for Davey, and we chatted all about Deadline. But I was wondering if you had a chance to watch on Saturday night, because it was a beautiful time of 7 p.m. It's a great time. But I hate Saturday pay-per-views. But did you happen to check out the show?
I did happen to check out the show, and I really did enjoy it. I think that overall, like there was some low points and there were some high points, but I think coming out of the show, the better matches sort of stuck in my mind more than the less exciting matches. I think that I flip between hating and loving the Iron Survivor match. And I feel like it's hard to say that because I think a lot of people really do like the Iron Survivor challenge. Just the concept of it can feel a little goofy at times. And like, I don't know, but both of those Iron Survivor matches had a lot of really fun moments in them. And, I can't say that I disliked either of them. So I feel like the show might have slowly started to flip my opinion on the gimmick itself. Those 2 matches really stuck out to me, and the tag match. I mean, I would even go as far as to say that was the high point of the whole show for me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think me and Sino both said the same thing. Like we definitely preferred the women's Iron Survivor match to the men's, but if that wasn't your match tonight, like the tag match was definitely a standout. And Fraxium, as we'll talk about later tonight, Fraxium is fine. Everyone, Fraxium is fine, but they are also like the best tag team going right now, like hands down. So yeah, I wonder if that'll like reach some of the talks of like best tag match of the year or something like that. Although I guess maybe that's reserved for the Sting Darby one. That was
right.
that's too. But,
I mean, that's pretty hard to top. Yeah.
Yeah, but Fraxium have just had like just this crazy run this year, and it's pretty good. And judging by some of the stuff we'll talk about, like we'll continue to have some bangers. Definitely not the one that they promote in a week or two, but we'll have other ones that definitely stand out. Are you looking forward to watching Saturday night's main event on Saturday?
Kind of. I mean, I'm interested to see what they're going to do with it. Is it just going to be like those network level live shows they did before where like it's below the level of a pay-per-view, but like it's still above the level of like a weekly TV? Like, what are they going to do to make it really interesting? I don't carry that same nostalgia that a lot of other people do, because a lot of these Saturday night's main event eras sort of precede when I watched wrestling.
Yeah, wait, let's pause for a sec. So when I'm born in 1991, and at one point in my life, John Away used to say, "Wow, you're so young, you millennial, right?" What are you?
I'm 01.
But wow, you're 01. Okay, so you probably have you ever watched Saturday night's main event before? Like I've gone back and watched some of them. I was happy, I was lucky, I guess, or unlucky enough to see a few of them taped in like the 06, 07 or something like that. But
that was like a really short stint of them though,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. So and they were great.
Yeah, no, I never caught those. But yeah, I'm pretty unfamiliar with it, to be honest.
Right. So are you a millennial, or are you a Gen something?
I'm Gen Z, yeah.
Gen Z. Wow.
I think the cutoff for Gen Z is like, I think 28-year-olds are like the last millennials.
Holy shit.
I could be completely off about that, but I think that's how it is.
You like TikTok and shit?
I love TikTok. Yeah,
yeah,
I was a big mark about the whole Big Boom AJ thing. That was like,
okay, we'll get to that in a sec. We might get along. We might definitely get along. But while we're on Saturday night's main event, because I think the big draw obviously is with the Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes story. I think they've been doing a good job of the Kevin Owens justified heel turn and everything like that. And
yeah,
like, call me crazy. Is it a hot take? As much as I love Cody, he finished the story. I was there. It was beautiful. One of the best moments. Would it be so bad if Kevin Owens took the title off him? Like, makes a really big deal to beat him and then, kick off the Netflix era. We got like, I don't know. I feel like it would like freshen things up. Cody could always win it back or whatever. But am I alone in thinking like, hey, that would be kind of a bit interesting? Not that Cody's getting stale, but he could be. I think it could be like a little good story. But what do you think?
I don't know if I would do it here, like on Saturday night's main event, because I think that it's sort of understood that this show is not like a must-see TV show. Like it's going to be a good show, and the matches on it are going to deliver. I'm looking forward to a lot of the things that have been announced so far. But I feel it seems like one of those shows that's like very sort of skippable on paper, and I think because of that, they're not going to flip like the biggest title. But I mean, would it be fun if Cody's reign ended on like a curveball? Like totally, and that's something I would like definitely be a fan of, but I just don't know if it's going to happen Saturday.
I totally like hear you, and it's like, yeah, Cody's got to have the title all the way to Mania, essentially, is what it would like feel like with whoever is a big opponent. But someone in the chat, Jake from the Windy City, says, I don't think it would hurt to have Kevin Owens win it and then drop it back to Cody at the Rumble, which like, yeah, that something like that could like be a cool. I just think like with how Kevin Owens is like ramping up in the good heel turn, like we know how good he could be as this like baddie, and I feel like if you give him the title, it almost like helps build him. Like he definitely was like one of the workhorses during the pandemic era and was just always losing every title opportunity. He was just like that fall guy. So I feel like it would be again interesting. I'm also saying that Cody should be champion going into Mania. Like, I agree on that. He's definitely main eventing one of the nights, but I don't know. I think it would like get some interest of like, ooh, Cody, even if he cheats to win or like, does something dastardly, the power bomb in the apron or something. But I'm definitely looking forward into that match. And being a big Steen fan too, like this is a big match. And the fact that I'm like fantasy booking that he should win it here is, I'm still not over. He lost to Goldberg. All right. So that's where I'm at. But yeah.
I think that, another Owens run has to happen eventually. And I'm a huge Owens fan. So I think it would be great. And I think the issue is that sometimes you just have to figure out, like, when you do these long title runs in these programs, before Mania and on the road to Mania and things like that, how do you keep it interesting when there's this expectation that Rhodes is going to be involved in the title picture come Mania in April, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, like, you could think of all the different avenues they're going to go for Mania, whether The Rock is involved or not. But like, you'd imagine Cody is going into Mania as champion for sure. They've also added Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre. I mean, that's a pretty good match. We've seen it like a bunch on Raws and stuff like that. But I feel like these two always put on something decent. And Drew coming back from his loss in the feud with Punk is kind of like, where do we go with him? So I guess he's just kind of farting around being bad to everyone. So I get why they do this. I don't necessarily think Sammy's beating him here. So I think it's safe to say Drew's not steamrolling him, but beating him.
I'm definitely looking forward to that one.
Yeah. They've also added Gunther, Finn Balor, Damian Priest, 3-way for the World Heavyweight title, which could be good. But like Finn, I don't know. I didn't necessarily think the Priest Gunther match hit for me at the Survivor Series show, but adding Finn, like when he wants to, he can definitely put it into gear. So this could potentially be pretty good too.
Yeah, I think that if you keep that match at like a fast pace and just let them sort of get all their stuff in really quick, it could be really fun.
Io Sky versus Liv Morgan. As much as I love Io Sky gets me high, but I don't see her winning the title from Liv. I just think it has to be Rhea, right? Like, how the story eventually has to go. And then what is it? Bailey or Chelsea versus Michin or Stratton. That hasn't happened yet, right? The semifinals, I guess. So I haven't been following that necessarily, but I think it would be cool if Chelsea were to win, like, the whole thing.
Right. Yeah. No, Chelsea is like one of those sort of underdogs of the roster right now, where any opportunity she gets where she could get more of a bigger push. Like, I remember people talking about how, like, heading into Money in the Bank, some people were picking her to win that match.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, of course. It would either be her, like, it's got to be one of those two who win on SmackDown. So this could be dated by the time you're listening to this, but I would put Chelsea on it just because she's funny and has been having hell of a bit of a run lately. But yeah, I'm kind of interested in seeing this Saturday night's main event, and it has Jesse the Body Ventura, who's doing commentary. Now, you do know who that is, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. You've seen Predator, obviously. Yeah. That's kind of like another interesting factor because, he hasn't been involved with WWE in so long. He's got a very famous voice, voice and mind and thoughts and words that he says, and some things people don't agree with. But I think this is pretty cool to have him. And it could be like, it could not work, but I have a feeling it'll be pretty entertaining. Just for that alone is kind of a bit of a draw. And the Obsession song, which is also a banger. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this show.
Yeah, it's a fun little thing. Like, they're not doing these every month, so you don't have to worry about it becoming this like lame thing that they're gonna water down.
Well, you say that. They added one like what, next in January?
But I think the agreement is quarterly, so we're gonna get one in January and then probably not for a few months. I mean, this could age horribly. They're gonna announce one for February tomorrow or something.
Yeah, yeah, true. I'm. It's cool that they're doing it. WWE's super hot right now, and with the whole Netflix thing. I mean, me and you, we're in Toronto. We're gonna get the best of the best with the network, like best bang for your buck. You pay for Netflix, you get Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and the pay-per-views. It's like this is great. It remains to be seen what happens with the vault of everything and WCW Nitros and.
I've been looking into that like every single day. I go on Netflix and I just type in the name of some things and like see what shows up, because right now we know that WWE pay-per-views, all of them are probably going to be on there because they just show, like, when you search up an event name, you get one title on there, but like if you search up like a defunct pay-per-view like Great Balls of Fire or something, like it shows up on there. So clearly it's like all of them are going to be on there.
Wow, but, Great Balls of Fire's on there?
Great Balls of Fire is on there. Sick. Yeah, I have a screenshot of it on my Blue Sky.
Fantastic. Yeah. I mean,
That
not a
might be
great
the
show.
first thing I
but the
watch.
Best. Yeah. Make it the number one thing streamed on WWE's Netflix. Great balls of fire. Bring it back, cowards. Another thing, we mentioned something that is very, very close and dear to my heart. The Costco guys. Now I know some of you are like, guys, that's done. It's over. They did it. It's done. They showed up at the AEW All In Tickets on Sale rally down in Texas. Was this today? I think this was, or was it yesterday?
It was Monday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the tickets are on sale for All In 2025, and they had Sting, the great face paint and new dye job, looking good. Sting's still around with the Legends deal at AEW. They had a bunch of stars there for AEW, but Big Boom AJ and Big Justice were there. And why this is newsworthy is because they posted a photo and a video at this rally with Bryan Danielson. That's right. The Costco guys yet again at the high point of wrestling and breaking the news today that, I don't know, it kind of had me question some things. If Danielson is there, that's pretty much him telling me, hey, I'm going to be at this show. And if he's not, damn you, Brian, for making me buy tickets to go see this show. What did you think of that? What did you take from that?
I mean, he kind of left it up in the air, like whether, like, I think what's great about his sort of send off is how ambiguous it was, and the fact that fans sort of have that wondering of like, is he going to show up to this? Is he going to show up to that? And it kind of, in a sort of screwed up sense, also works for AEW, that like fans can be like, oh, maybe he'll be at this show or whatever. I mean, using that logic, are we also expecting that AJ is going to be at All In?
Yeah, I think it's been confirmed. I mean, let's go into some Costco guys lore here, but at Full Gear, he walked out with what they said was a broken foot. So he's been walking around in this walking cast for
Real
like
worker.
2 weeks. Yeah, real worker, doing his Costco vids, hanging out with all sorts of different celebrities the last 2 weeks. I feel like they've got even bigger now with bigger names and people they've been doing stuff with. But then Big Boom AJ says that he'll probably be at All In. And that the walking boot is coming off soon. So you can expect to see Big Boom AJ at the Hammerstein Ballroom.
Did he just like quietly sign like a full-time deal and we just didn't hear about this? Because like it's so funny how like I thought that match was a one-off, and like I remember this like the news coming out as if it was a one-off.
Yeah.
And now he's just kind of hanging around like, yeah, my injury is gonna be done soon, and like I'll be showing up at this show. Like,
yeah,
he just kind of quietly snuck into the industry, and he's not leaving.
He does more promotion. Like, he does the most promotion for that company, more than their champions, more than anyone else I've seen do promotion for that company.
They sent like 6 people to a press event, and he's one of them.
And he's one of the biggest draws. Like, first of all, Big Boom AJ walks in with a walking cast, limps in, and says, "Hey Tony, thanks for letting me, be here, and you're welcome for the house in New Jersey. You're welcome." Yeah. So maybe he's booked. Also, like, wait, how is this guy? He says he broke his foot. Now, does that mean like a bone, just one little bone or something? Because he says the boot's coming off, and then you can expect to see him at Hammerstein. Now, that's like just in a few weeks. So like, how can you be wrestling if your foot was broken? Or is he referring to GCW at Hammerstein? Maybe, possibly. I feel like that'd be a step down from him now because of the fame. But like, how is this possible?
Hopefully he doesn't get announced for it, because maybe he'll get pulled and then
yeah, he'll get pulled. No, you can't be working GCW. You're an AEW talent. He's probably signed some more deals to do some more matches and stuff. Like, it was a big success, and I don't know if they can like lightning strike twice kind of thing, but I'm shocked of how well of a worker this guy is with like the injury, with the boot. Is he human? Like, or is he booming?
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Did you see there was like a ESPN or like Sports Center social media post of like the NFL game that was on Monday? Tony Khan had like a booth there or something, and AJ and Big Justice. There was like a clip of them that surfaced, and like Tony's in the background, and people in the replies were like, this caption doesn't even mention that like Tony Khan's there. like the duo is just so much bigger than the brand.
Yeah, you're like, okay, so you're a Gen, is it Gen Z?
Yes.
That's what you are? Okay, so like I've been running my mouth about my love, and I don't know why I love the Costco verse so much, and been following these guys for quite a while. So the way it crossed over into wrestling, and then I ended up going to the show, was just like insane to me. But I love sometimes when worlds kind of collide like that. And I didn't even realize he was a wrestler up until they started using him and stuff. So pretty crazy. But then I'd say it delivered. I think a lot of people, they showed like, oh, hey, like it got the crowd going. It got people interested. It got a lot of views. Like you said, they get mentioned on ESPN, SportsCenter, all that stuff, like constantly all the time. And they're like all over social media. And here they are promoting AEW. It's like a bit of a win-win, but you're a Gen Zer. You gotta explain. Are they like popping off on, I don't go on TikTok that much. Like, are they as popular online as like, I think I see them online and think they are?
Yeah. I mean, like you ask people, like anyone my age, and they know who they are. Like they're that popular. Like the thing that was what made it so perplexing to me about them being in wrestling is like, this is like a really like popping thing right now. So I was like, there's no way they're actually gonna like be on AEW, because it just, I don't know. I feel like as a wrestling fan, you're so accustomed to like the C-listers being the ones that like show up to like Raw or whatever, not like the people who are getting like 200K likes on TikTok on just like throwaway posts.
Like these guys, like he constantly, again, I see them like at a sports game with like celebrities and athletes, like they're the influencers, and it's just this guy with his kid and the Rizzler. So, you know,
yeah, who isn't his kid, but is always
the Rizzler's not his kid. Yeah. Everyone's like, why is he? Who are these people? What's going? Yeah. God bless America. I love to see it. Honestly, it's just good old fashioned wholesome fun. And I think the guy's a real worker with the whole boot thing, the foot thing. I hope he does wrestle at Hammerstein. I hope he does wrestle at All In. Like,
I hope he wrestles Bryan Danielson at All In.
Yeah. I mean, if Bryan Danielson and Big Boom AJ get together, I think we find out who can take down Jon Moxley and the Death Riders. I think that whole story just makes a whole lot of sense and would probably save AEW. Because again, Tony Khan, you can thank the Costco guys for the house. A few weeks ago for sure. So there we go. Some justification on the Costco guys, and my love for them grows bigger even every day, like a double chunk chocolate cookie. A little reminder, also, everyone out.
Thank you to everyone who's still tuned in after the big Costco guys.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah. People, trust me, I got a lot of shit when I started talking about it, but I think people also started like, again, it's wholesome, like just funny. It's stupid. I think the Jimmy Fallon thing was a big like turnaround for a lot of people as well.
Oh,
but yeah, bless them very much. Everyone out there listening, we're going to chat about some NXT, but a little reminder that you can also support us here at UpNXT and Poison Rana by going to chop-tees.com/PoisonRana for our Lucha Frog of Doom merch drop. We got all these new t-shirts, hats, and hoodies, including crew neck sweaters that I'm rocking right now. And I want to shout out Dickie Bird with the website. He's been killing it, and appreciate everyone who's been supporting and buying stuff. Please send in photos by any means on any socials, because we'd love to share them, and really do appreciate everyone out there rocking the gear and everything, especially at the shows and everything. Super, super appreciate it. And if you are in the Toronto area, and Jack, you should mark off your calendar for I think it's next Thursday, December 19th, a very Lucha Christmas at Demand Lucha here in Toronto. And like, I go off about how much I love these shows just because me and Davie have so much fun at them. But we do a show called Up Next. We've been covering NXT forever, but we've been going to these indie shows, and Gringo Loco has been our guy. At this show, Gringo Loco is taking on Scripps, Reggie. This is like a dream match come true. And if that's not enough, there's I think Lindsay Dorado versus Jack Cartwheel, as well as all the other regulars. So you will catch me and Davey there, but love to see a lot of our listeners out there as well. It's such a party. It's such a good vibe at Demand Lucha, and everyone's having fun. And we're going to be at the very Lucha Christmas next Thursday, December 19th in Toronto, Parkdale. So go get your tickets, follow Demand Lucha and all the socials to check it out, because the card is stacked. It's always fun anyways, but the card is stacked. So if you're off, Jack, come on by, swing on by for some Lucha.
Yeah, I got to look into that. Demand Lucha shows are consistently amazing, and
so good.
I feel like every time I don't go to one, I'm kicking myself after when I see like the posts of what people saw and like what was happening there, because every single time the FOMO always hits you afterward.
Yeah, no, it's totally true. But we always have a blast, and I totally mean that. So definitely looking forward to that and seeing some people out there, because we love to see you out there. We're gonna dress up, Santa hats on, Not getting the elf costume out, but I'm getting the Santa hats on. All right. It'll be fun. It'll be really fun. But Jack, let's talk about some NXT. That's why we're here, to talk about some NXT, WWE NXT from Tuesday, December 10th, 2024. And it's December 10th already. That's right. We see a recap of NXT Deadline and all the outcomes from the matches, including the Iron Survivor and the women's winner, Julia, who comes out here in Orlando, Florida. Julia rocking she's been in the US, like 2-3 months, and she's already like finding out where to shop. She's going to, I don't know if this was a Hot Topic fit, but like it was like denim, but like shredded pants and then like a puff camo jacket. It was kind of, I don't know if I hated it or really loved it. Maybe I'm somewhere in the middle, but
I need to see the Julia wish list on Grailed. I want to see what outfits she's looking at, because she's got the streetwear down here.
Wait a second, is this some other Gen Z thing? What is this?
Grailed?
I don't even know what that is. Is that like
where like
Temu
you
or
buy and like sell clothing?
Oh, okay. Wow, I'm learning some new things here.
And if you for fits like this is like a Grailed fit. Like this is
okay. Look at this, guys. We're learning on the fly here. She's grilled, probably. So she comes out. She says that she won the Iron Survivor, but she's interrupted right away as Roxanne Perez comes out and basically says that, why are you boasting? You may have won, but everyone knows Soul stole the show and Ren did fine and everyone else was there, but it doesn't matter because you didn't really win. Everyone else just lost because they ran out of time, and says that I've won this before and I did it even better. And then she says, you know what? You might not even make it to New Year's Evil anyways. And Julia says, well, cool. Let's do it tonight. Let's do it right now for the title. When Cora Jade comes out with a baseball bat and attacks her, this is when it shows Stephanie Vaquer has been taken out backstage, alluding to that Cora used the bat on her. And then Julia goes to attack Rox, but Cora beats her up with the bat when Kalani comes out for the save and takes them out, which we later find out that it is set up for our main event. Julia and Kalani Jordan filling in for Stephanie, taking on Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade. But what did you think of this opening segment?
Yeah, Julie didn't seem too bothered about Roxanne downplaying her Iron Survivor win, and I think that's mostly because it's just not very believable that it's like not an impressive win. It's actually really impressive to win that match. This was like the first of 3 times. This was a very generous episode of NXT. The first of 3 times where a champion just like sort of threw away like a title match, or like someone tried to
yeah.
We see it 2 more times later in the episode.
Yeah, definitely. So that's what sets up this feud, and Cora and Roxanne will be in action. We get a replay of the Ethan Page promo where he was like acting all sad. Meanwhile, everyone, including myself, was like, hey, who are those guys walking behind him? But he was very sad. He's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And this kind of fades and cuts to like the locker room watching this promo, and people are like, whatever. And we see the no quarter catch crew, and Tony D and the family walk in, and they see Ethan Page in the back. This was funny. Like everyone's watching Ethan Page's sad promo, and then the camera follows Tony D, and then Ethan Page is also in the back of the room sitting down.
How embarrassed would you be if you're sitting in a room, like a party with your friends?
Yeah.
And then on TV, like this diary entry of yours just starts playing about like how rough it's been for you lately.
How sad I am.
Everyone's just going to turn to you.
Yeah. It felt like
it would be so embarrassing. Yeah. I would start crying. Like,
yeah, it made him even seem more sadder here. And I guess
I felt bad for him here. I was like, this is not fair.
Yeah. So Tony D says, hey, you're looking all sad and you lost, but you need to get over it. But you did blew it. So like, you didn't win. But like,
not a good friend here.
Yeah. And then Ethan's like, yeah, whatever. I don't care. Go away. And he says, you know what? I'm feeling generous today, says Tony. So you know what? I'm offering to put my North American title on the line against you tonight. And everyone around him's like, yo, what are you doing? What? And everybody's listening in now. And Ethan Page replies with, yeah, that's great and all, but the North American title is actually a bit of a step down for me. So no. Which is great heel logic here. Just totally shitting on the belt. And Tony says, oh, fine. I'm trying to be nice, but never mind. I guess I'll leave this lost puppy and open it up to the room. And that's when like everyone starts barking and yelling like, me, pick me. And then Ethan's like, okay, actually, I'll take the match. And Tony first says no, but then says, fine. So Ethan says, please give me the match. So later tonight, Tony D versus Ethan Page for the North American title. I thought this was pretty funny with, again, the Ethan Page being sad and then the him just dissing the North American title, just making it so secondary, but funny stuff.
Yeah, and I think this was a bad look on Ethan's intelligence, because he was like talking about how like, oh, I don't know how I'm gonna get back to the title, and someone's like, well, you can win this like, you know, really good, you know, secondary title, and he's like, no, I don't really feel like it.
I don't really want that, to be honest.
Yeah.
But fun stuff. I noticed they cut to a lot of like quick, like 3-second blips through the episode of like, hey, Raw, Netflix, January 6th. Like they're really pushing the debut there, which I'm sure they will very heavily stack. We come back from break. Lots of promos on this episode.
Mm-hmm.
We see Lexis King with Charlie Dempsey, and he's like, hey, Charlie, I want another shot at your the Heritage Cup. There's a lot, too many titles.
Too many.
Yeah. I don't mind the cup, but I don't like Heritage too much. But Charlie shaved his mustache, which I'm really happy about. I think he looks better without it, but he was trying things. It was fine. He walks off after saying like, no, you're not getting a shot until you earn it or whatever. So Lexus walks off. When No Quarter Catch Crew are with Charlie, and he says he's very proud of both Ren and Miles and Tavion. He says you both didn't win in your matches, but like they were awesome. And kind of going with what, I mean, we both said that was our favorite match of the night, but also Ren Sinclair in that match definitely stepped up and was great. So I'm liking Charlie being a good leader here, telling them like, hey, I'm pretty proud of you.
Ren really played her role well in that match, because she was at points the comedic relief, but it was just like, still, she played her role super well.
Yeah, no, I loved it. They're interrupted when OTM and Jada come in. She says, hey, Ren, you should just be thanking me, because if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have even been in that match. So, you know, it's because of me. And they say, well, you guys weren't even in it. Like, you weren't in the title match, the tag title match, or that match. And Jada's
and you lost on that card.
yeah, like, and you didn't win your match either. So Jada kind of gets in her face, which I imagine sets up Ren versus Jada, if not next week, maybe a week after that or something. But yeah.
I like Lexis King had this whole introspection about like how he thinks he's like turning a corner, and then like what that resulted in was him just being like, can I have a title match, please? Yeah,
essentially. I've been liking Lexis King lately with this whole like turn and stuff, which is crazy, but like, yeah. Ultraman in the chat says I thought Charlie was cute with his facial hair. It was a look. He was trying something. I think he could try out a few other ones, but maybe it was like a Movember thing. I'm not sure. That would make sense, right? Because it was November and stuff. But yeah, we go to our next match. Our first match. Your boy is bouncy. Out comes Javon Evans taking on Wes Lee. Who's older, you or Javon Evans?
Oh, I'm older. I mean, our difference is either 3 years or 5 years, depending on if you're asking Booker T or if you're asking Google. Because Booker T called him 18 during this match.
Oh, okay, weird. Oh, Booker. Was it?
He said, "I understand this kid's 18 years old," and then Vic corrected him, being like,
"Not."
Well, a few years have passed since he was 18. But...
this set up because at Deadline, Wes is like, "Hey, one day you'll be salty just like me," and Javon was like, "Doubt it," and then he punched him and they brawled. So this is what set this rematch up here tonight. The match starts and Wes is just like punching him, trying to beat down on him. But Javon throws him out of the ring and hits a crazy tope, like a missile here, which was crazy. But then Wes is now throwing him around ringside. They're throwing each other into like the guardrails. But then there's like this another dive, but this time from Wes when he hits the tope and lands on his feet, very clean. When we come back, there's like they did a slow-mo as they went to break. This is like an old school like wrestling thing, like as we come back, as it's showing the tope like in slow-mo. I like that. I haven't seen that in WWE. Maybe I don't watch Raw or something, but I like this effect. It was definitely old school. When we come back, both of them are doing crazy stuff. There's Wes flipping off the top, landing on his feet. There's crazy springboard kicks. Tiger driver counted into like a snap Rana from Wes, which is very impressive. But finally, Javon does hit the Tiger driver. As Vic says, it's a Pearl River style. Do you know who Ahmed Johnson is?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, good. Wes tries to use the feet. He gets out of that and tries to use his feet, but the ref sees it. Book yells, "Do your job, ref!" And Vic is like, he is doing. He just told him, no, don't do that. And Book's like, oh, okay, true. The OG Cutters countered into this crazy satellite DDT, and then the cardiac kick, but Evans kicks out, and Vic did a great job of selling, like, hey, that's his finish. Like, this dude kicked out of it. Eventually, Javon super kicks Wes down and hits his own corkscrew splash off the top for the 1-2-3. So, Javon Evans getting his win on Wes Lee here in a pretty fun, fast-paced opening match.
This was awesome. And I think that the issue with a lot of Javon Evans matches is that he is so great that you almost forget about his opponent in a sense, or like he sort of overshadows his opponent so much. But I feel like in this match with Wes Lee, like you got so much out of both of them that was so exciting that really I came out of this applauding both wrestlers. And this matchup I was so looking forward to because I really enjoyed when they faced each other before. And even though their rematch came so close after their first meeting, I was really looking forward to it, and it completely delivered.
Yeah, I feel like they weren't added to the Deadline show, which maybe we kind of thought it would be. We saw them do their match at the ECW arena. I think I still maybe have liked that one more than this one, but this was I
was thinking about that earlier.
Yeah.
And I think I'm on the same boat with you. Yeah.
Like, I think this was my favorite match on this show here today because these two have like great chemistry. But you're right, like Javon being the new like fresh toy that's like doing all these spectacular things, and like Wes is in the weirdest spot because they turned him heel, he cut his hair, he changed his look, and now it's like, is it like he's starting from that same position again? Because at one point you just imagine like Wes being your big baby face to finally win the title. Like, fast forwarding a little bit, if say, for example, Obafemi is champion in 2025, down the line, a babyface Wes Lee challenging, even though they had a match here in Toronto, but like that would be a big character story. But I don't know, with Wes, like it felt like at one point he was on track to be like one of the big main guys, and here he is losing. I can't remember now if he lost or won at the ECW arena, because Ultraman in the chat is saying like, hey, is that 2-0? I'm pretty sure Javon won, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah. So
yeah, and that's a really good point to bring up, that sort of like, where do you go with Wes Lee, or like if you have good ideas in the future with him, like how do you get from point A to point B in like a coherent way? Those are definitely challenges, and you know, it's going to be interesting to see how they maneuver that. But right now I think it's really great that they're sort of riding a wave with Javon. Like, it's so hard to not see things just going more and more positive if they can just keep putting momentum behind him. Yeah,
like he's 20 years old, Booker T, and already having matches that I'm like, he's one of my favorite guys. Like, since coming into NXT right away off the bat, like I feel like he's got the 20-year-old humor character down pat, and then like his wrestling is just like awesome. And this is a 20-year-old, so who knows what he could do in another few years. So like all things go fine, this guy should be a pretty big deal in WWE, I'd say. Like, we got a little secret weapon with Javon Evans down in NXT, and same with like the same could be said with a lot of people down here right now, like Obafemi. As soon as people on the main roster see him, it's the same thing. I think people would really, Javon and Oba, both guys you see right away, you're like, whoa, who's this guy? Both guys in different ways, and I think they both have a big future. But maybe that's the end game, Oba versus Javon in like a year, you know. But yeah,
I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah,
I like how this match was built off of the older guy saying to the younger guy, you know, your spirit's gonna die one day, because it just reminded me of, like, I feel like that's a conversation that's happened in every workplace before. Like, the young new worker is there, and someone's like, oh, you're gonna hate this place eventually, and the new person's like, no, I don't think so.
I feel like it's not the right character for Wes. I don't want like just the Rascals Wes back, but like I think it's missing a beat having him be miserable. It's not an entertaining character. It's like the guy at work that is miserable. He's like, I don't want to hang out with you because you're miserable all the time. I don't want to watch you because you're miserable, essentially.
And also, like, does that really fit you if you're like putting on really exciting matches?
Yeah,
and, like, you're putting in a really good effort. Like, it just doesn't necessarily line up.
Yeah.
Like if he had a wrestling style of like Ethan Page, I'd be like, okay, this miserable character kind of fits you, but like,
I need him to come back to the babyface side, but right now I don't think that's necessarily in the cards. So I don't know. I don't know what's next for Wes.
I'm gonna make a promise that this will be my last Booker T line mention.
No. We welcome all Booker T. Something we say here is, yeah,
go ahead.
I was gonna say we always say Booker T was on one tonight, and it was the case tonight as well. But
he mentioned that Wes Lee. He either implied that Wes Lee cut his hair for aerodynamics, or that like. Because he was about to do a dive, and he mentioned something about how the hair
he did.
It's just one of those lines that made me laugh out loud while I was watching.
Oh man, yeah, I don't know what I love Booker T and Vic Joseph together. Like
they're such a good duo.
Yeah, they bounce off each other so much. I'll get to some things Vic said to Booker later on. I have written down, but yeah, great opening match, Javon and West. In fact, I hope we get to see it again down the line a bit more. But again, I don't know what's next for. Both these guys, maybe Javon for the North American title the next time around or something. I would
love to see them in a non-TV setting where like half of their stuff isn't cut out from commercials and they don't have to fit that sort of TV mold, because they've had great matches, but they have both suffered that thing where a good chunk of it's cut off from commercials, and it doesn't get that sort of more freedom in a PLE structure. So I would definitely love that.
Yeah, that's been the case for CW. Ever since we've come to CW, all the matches have big commercial breaks in them, and it kind of waters. Like the first Roxanne and Julia didn't really hit for me because half of it was a commercial break. It's really bizarre. We go backstage. Fraxium, they are fine. Axiom and Nathan Frazier. Love the visual of Nathan Frazier still just looking like he got the absolute shit beat out of him. His nose is like busted, and here they are drinking coffee and having their NXT titles backstage. And they're like, hey, we did it. And he says, we did it, amigo. We got the titles. And Frazier is like, I can't believe it, but we did it. Axiom says, I want to apologize because like I didn't think you'd be able to, but like you did it. And Frazier's like, nah, man, like you carried us. Don't worry. And Axiom's like, and they start to gas each other up a little bit. And then Frazier's like, but I need to make it right. And Axiom's like, no, I'll make it right. Don't worry. Obafemi hurt you, and you're my friend. I need to make it right. And Frazier says, don't worry, I'll make it right. So I'm not sure quite what that means, but love the ridiculousness of like these like almost like two nerdy baby faces, but they're so become lovable. And the fact that this guy just looks like he's ran into a brick wall.
Yeah, he was like
cartoon.
Injured.
Yeah, like he's just like bandaged his face, probably like some makeup to make it even look. I don't know. He looked smashed in essentially, but great visual.
I really like the idea that like now that they sort of made up, they were almost overcompensating for the struggles they had in the past. Like, because there was something so like they were almost trying to like one up each other here with trying to make things right. And I feel like you can relate to that. Like we've all been sort of in that situation where you're trying to patch things up with someone, and in the process, you're both like sort of synthetically trying to fix things by going too far with like, well, no, I'm going to be even better than I was before. And that,
it's working.
It works. Yeah. It actually works perfectly for them, as we'll see later in the episode.
Yeah. It gets better with these two, but they've become like some of my favorites to watch on the show. They're still nerds to me, but I love them. They're lovable nerds that I love. The Power Ranger.
They just have that perfect dynamic of like a great character and great in ring, which I mean, you don't always get that.
So we announced that they do say the main event is Cora and Roxy versus Julie and Kalani. They also say that Ethan and Tony is on tonight and will happen a bit later. We go to the NXT Progressive video here. Love the sponsorships. Love the Monopoly sponsorships, by the way. Yes. They're like, hey, what's good? What's better than friends? Money. I'm like, wait a second. What's going on?
That's like NXT a lot of the gambling ads on TV.
Yeah. It just they disguised as Monopoly. Look, I'm the Monopoly guy. Everything's fun. Gamble. So we get a video package for Josh Briggs and Inamura here. They talk about the N1, Josh Briggs being in this. He says he loves the gritty Japanese wrestling style. We see lots of clips of him wrestling, throwing guys around. He says that one guy that stood out and he wanted to bring to NXT was Inamura, and it cuts to him saying that Briggs reminds him of Stan Hansen. Big American, clotheslines people. All right, I'll give it to him. Sure. JBL maybe, if JBL had like superheroes tattooed on his arm, but yeah, okay. Briggs says there might be a bit of a language barrier, and it cuts to the battle royal where they were like, I guess, confused at what was going on. And then he says that if we work together here in NXT, that we could do damage in this tag team division. And it ends with Inamura saying, Josh Sen and Inamura will create chaos in NXT. And then right away, my brain went to, man, imagine these two versus Fraxium. What a fantastic match I'm sure that could be. So, a new tag team using Briggs. It sucks for Briggs because he wanted to be on his own. That was the whole story for like last year. And then here he is in a tag team. But it was cool because then when it cut to Booker, he says in 1991, I made the trip to Japan to learn, and I learned so much in the land of the rising sun. And then Booker just goes crazy and says, Josh Briggs is about to blow up, man. And Vic is like, all right, man, cool. But
yeah, I don't really understand the language barrier thing because they were like, they do battle royal matches in Japan. Like it's not some American thing.
Yeah. I didn't get that, but
no, I like this pairing as much as they really are retconning how Josh Briggs's excursion went. They have a pretty decent story here, and I'm interested to see how this duo goes. I'm maybe this shows how little I know or whatever, but like, do we know how long Inamura is gonna be in NXT? Because he's still like recognized as a Noah talent, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess for a while, considering like, hey, we're gonna take over the tag division. So
because he got here like a month ago, and like it still feels like the very start.
Yeah, they debuted him terribly, like the way they put him
just like in a backstage segment.
I mean, that and the match. Like you don't debut someone in a shitty battle royal
where he doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah,
He's like,
so
I just throw them over the top and then they're out.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of shit, but I am for it because like I bet we could get some great matches out of these guys. Like Josh Briggs is a pretty good wrestler, and he's had good tag team matches in NXT, but his stuff beyond and Evolve and stuff is great. I'm not super familiar with Inamura, but already I'm like, they're talking about Stan Hansen and beating people up in Japanese wrestling. I'm like, all right, then let me see you do that. So hopefully it leads to some good wrestling. We go backstage with Sarah. She's trying to get an update on Stephanie Vaquer, and we see Julia rushes out with Kalani, and Julia's here's a language barrier. She starts yelling in Japanese, and Kalani says, I think what she's trying to say is she's mad at Cora Jade and all that. Yeah, Kalani knows. I've been studying up on her Duolingo of Japanese.
She took a Japanese election at Michigan State.
Here we go. And
no, I
yeah, don't say that because I'll be like, oh wait, no, does she speak Japanese? I'm just assuming she can't and making a joke, but that would be hilarious. But I think it was more of like Julia said like one or two lines yelling in Japanese, and then Kalani's like, she says, and then
what she means to say is code for I'm going off vibes here.
Yeah, we don't need translator gimmicks in wrestling. So I'm fine with this. Like, what's the dude I hate in AEW? Like the translator gimmicks got to go. That's for sure. What's his name? I hate him so much that I can't even remember his name. Alex Abrahantes.
Oh,
what is his? What? We don't need you. You don't need to translate the match. Why are you there? Why are you ringside? Anyways, so Kalani goes on to say that Cora Jade and Roxanne think they run NXT. They couldn't run a lemonade stand in the desert if they tried. Oof. And says that my resume is bigger than Cora's if we look at it. And tonight they're going to get what's coming.
It would have been fun if she just casually whipped out that she did take an elective in Japanese. But,
I know Japanese.
Yeah, no, and running a lemonade stand in a desert would be probably pretty easy. So that's a pretty deep cut.
Yeah, that's pretty harsh. I mean, I don't know. Some people don't like lemonade, but when life gives you lemons. We go also backstage, lots of talking too. Zarya is with Sol Ruka. They're hanging out after they were beating each other up on Saturday. And Sol says that the Iron Survivor was awesome, was a great match. And Zarya says like, oh, in the heat of the battle, I felt alive. She's like, I love beating people up. It was fun beating you up. And Sol says, yeah, too bad I was in the penalty box when it ended, or I would have been able to hit one more Soul Snatcher and win the whole thing. This is when Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson show up. She says, and says that, you two lost, but if we were both in it, one of us would have won. The classic heel logic. You lost, but if we were in it, we would have won. And then says like, I'm the bougie baddie. You can't mess with us. And kind of pushing their buttons a little bit. And Jakara says, you think you're better than us? You think you would have had a chance in that match? It's giving delusional. And then they walk off. Now I know a little bit of Gen Z talk, and one of my least favorite ones is It's giving. Can't
What?
stand that saying. It's giving. It's
Why
giving.
not?
Also, okay, I can show off too. She should have said it's giving Delulu, but she didn't.
Delulu, I feel like that kind of, I
Yeah.
don't know. I feel like it went out of
Oh man,
it's a little past
Fucking old.
prime.
I hate it's
Delulu.
giving. I hate that saying. But this sets up a match for, I believe it's announced for next week.
Yeah.
Zarya and Sol Ruka versus the Meta Girls.
So one thing I didn't understand is in the locker room, I was looking at I was just looking around and I noticed the name tags on the lockers and I saw Ava has a locker and I'm thinking she has an office.
Yeah, why does she have a locker?
Like you have your own place to change if you need to. Like
I didn't notice that. Maybe it's just still there because you get your locker, but I don't know.
Yeah, but how long has it been?
I don't know. I think I talked about it on Deadline recently. The Rock was promoting Moana 2, and he was asked about his daughter being like going into wrestling, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm really proud of my daughter wrestling in NXT." I was like, "Wait a second."
maybe the custodians are really understaffed there, and they just haven't gotten to the change
that locker.
Yeah.
We go to our next match. Hank and Tank taking on Tyson and Tyreek in a tag team match here. We get Tank in the ring. He gets a shoulder block and he's not happy about it. And then eventually, I think it's Hank, and then he tags in Tank, who does an atomic drop, a throwback, and then a flying shoulder block of his own. This is where Book brings up Luca Crucifino, and Vic is like, he's not in this match. What are you talking about? And Book's like, oh, never mind. And completely drops it. And it's like really awkward. I don't know if why he said that. I was like, wait, is Luca Crucifino like ringside? Is he showing up? Nope. Just brings him. I think maybe he thought he was in the match. And I'm like, which one does he think he is? Hank? I don't know. But yeah, Book was on one. Hank comes back with a bulldog combo with Tank and then a like double squash E-train thing. Honk, honk, shucky ducky, quack, quack. Book says they got him a shirt that says that. This is when Tariq comes back with a back suplex, tags in Tyson, who hits some clotheslines, but then Tariq gets clotheslined outside. There's a big boss man slam or a black hole slam on Tyson, and then the power slam combo from Hank and Tank, a finish I don't like, for the win. And then after, they try to give the handshake to Tyson and Tariq, and Tyson shakes their hand, but Tariq is like, nah, and he like walks off like, nah, what are you doing? So what'd you think of this match?
It was an okay match. I mean, it was just kind of one of those matches that came and went pretty quickly. And thankfully. I mean, I like both these teams. Like they had a good showing here. Hank and Tank are a pretty fun duo. They're like very fan friendly. Like people are getting behind them pretty easily. We haven't seen too much of Tyreek and Tyson. Correct me if I'm wrong. And no. I'm curious to see like what's going to happen when they actually start getting put in something more substantial, because this was a 2-week program, and I would just love to highlight how this match came about. That Hank and Tank, they eliminated Tyreek and Tyson, and then said, "I want to shake their hands" after they eliminated them during the Battle Royal.
I want to shake your hand.
Yeah, and then
I want to shake your hand.
And then they got eliminated in the process or something. Something like that
weird.
happened.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think that
I haven't seen really much from Tyson and Tariq. If anything, the most I've seen is Tariq being like, no, I'm not shaking your hand after the match. The wrestling was whatever. I love Hank and Tank's energy and the vibe they bring. Like they're so I don't want to compare to Mojo Rawley because I don't like Mojo Rawley, but like they give me that kind of thing, but maybe better than him in a way. But they're getting better at least, you know?
They're a vibes-based team right now, where you're not watching for like the 5-star classic, but you're watching for a good time, and there's nothing wrong with that.
It's giving good time.
Sure.
Yeah. We go to our next segment. Out comes the winner of the men's Iron Survivor, Oba Femi, in a very nice, what is this? A cheetah shirt, like a button-up shirt that looked very, very nice. Giving me, it's giving me alpha male vibes. Monty Brown, pounce, period. He looked very nice in this shirt. He comes out. He has the microphone. He says, surprise, surprise, the ruler is back. He says, I crushed everybody in the Iron Survivor, and I have proven myself again to be the true ruler of NXT. And then he says, he gets right to the point here. Trick, come out here. and let's find out who the real tough guy is. Ooh, as the crowd just go, oh shit. Out comes Trick with Booker T going off. Whoop that Trick. The crowd feeling it. He comes out shirtless. He's just ready. But really, before he can get his 2 cents in, Eddie Thorpe's music hits. Definitely not the music any of us were expecting. Out comes Eddie Thorpe and he says, cut the music. This is not happening. No, you attacked me, Oba. You attacked me, and therefore you took my spot, and I wasn't in the match, and therefore I couldn't win the match. And so Eddie Thorpe has turned heel, and he says here that you attacked me, and me and my people have been through enough. I don't know why he's that has anything necessarily to do with if Obafemi attacked him last week, but I'm sensing the heel Tatanka, like Eddie Thorpe, with bringing that up for some reason was a bit out there. But again, heel logic here, like, oh, I've been like oppressed here in NXT, just like my people, is essentially kind of what he's saying. And I'm like, oh, okay, still don't know why you're out here, but he says that that was a choice. He then says, I didn't see you attack me, but you did. I know you attacked me. And Oba's like, no, I didn't attack you. Did you see me attack you? No, I didn't. Well, I didn't attack you because I don't need to attack you. So no. This is where they completely ignore Eddie Thorpe. He's just standing in the ring while they have a segment now.
Trick literally just like turns to Oba and just continues his promo. It's so funny.
It's so cringe for him at this point. I'd say it gets better maybe later on, but like,
he doesn't even have like a transitional back to this. He just
completely ignore him. Like Eddie Thorpe's just in the cuck chair in the middle of the ring watching the next segment here as they get down to business. But Trick is like, yeah, you won the Iron Survivor. I won it too. And then I went on and I finally became champion. And everyone in NXT has been waiting for me and you to go head to head. So how about this? Los Angeles, City of Angels, City of Stars, the biggest stars of NXT. Trick and Oba collide at New Year's Evil. And Oba says, I'm the only reason that you were the champion, that you're number one now, is because I let you be that. I've been waiting in the wings. I allowed you to have the whoop that Trick era, but now it's my time. Trick gets a little angry. It looks as if like Oba maybe like, say it, don't spray it, brother, like spit on him a little bit, because Trick's like wiping it off his face and like looking at him like, yo, you just like spit in my face. And Oba reminds him that you now have a date with Destiny, and I promise you, I swear to you, the beginning of 2025 will be the end of your era. And then he leaves. And then Trick is like, all right, cool, I'm going to leave too. And then Eddie Thorpe, oh yeah, Eddie Thorpe's still in the ring, and stops him. And he's like, hey, that's not what we're going to do here. Like, you're a man of the people, Trick, huh? Well, you have to check under the hood of the Lamborghini, and you're manufactured sports entertainer. Ooh. And says, you just went to Eagles training camp and then got signed. And Trick says, Eddie, shut your ass up. Eddie, you think you're the next one? You think you can beat me? Next week. Ava, set it up. And then he punches him in the face and walks off. What a segment to unpack there. But what are some thoughts on everything that transpired here?
Well, not to play devil's advocate, but if I was Eddie Thorpe, listen, I know that we're going to find out something later in the episode about the attack, but let's just go into the fact that Obafemi was never in any of the qualifiers, and after Eddie got taken out of the match, Oba just got slotted into the match. Like, if you let's just say if you were someone else who qualified, wouldn't you be a little annoyed? Like, I lost my qualifier, and then I lost my second chance thing, and then a guy who wasn't in either of those just gets a free pass. It's like not fair at all. I saw that the sort of my people line landed a little awkwardly for a lot of people online, and it's tricky when you're using stuff like that, especially when you're a heel at the same time. Like it's kind of, it's sticky, and I could see why it would land weird for a lot of people. I mean, I don't know. I think that I don't mind that they made Eddie kind of look like a dweeb here, because like they want him to get some heat for sort of looking like someone who's not supposed to be in the title picture, but somehow sneaking his way into it. So I didn't mind that, and I also thought it was hilarious. So
yeah, it kind of comes into play a bit later, but you're right. Like, logically, you'd be upset that someone stole your spot and everything, but they definitely made him look like a little bit of a loser or a geek here in the ring, up until I guess when he starts going off about the Eagles training camp and gets Trick a bit fired up.
I mean, at the end of the day, he pressed the champion. So
yeah, he
that
does. He
that
did.
is
Yeah,
something.
I did like the training, the Eagles training line, and the sports entertainer thing, I guess. But I thought also the Oba Femi and Trick stuff was great because we're finally like,
Yeah,
oh shit, this is we're going to this match, and
Oba's promo was great.
Yeah, Oba is fantastic, man. I definitely see him taking this from Trick. Unfortunately for Trick, I mean, unless you don't, and then Trick turns, which could be messy. I'm not sure, but Oba almost sounds like the heel, right? But he shouldn't be because people are so behind him right now. But yeah, it's gonna be Oba Femi's 2025 for sure. Like I thought this promo, the ruler's back, the way he talks, the conviction, the stoicness, the cheetah shirt, it's everything.
I feel like Oba was almost like, since Trick is such a huge babyface, you almost consider Oba like the de facto heel in this booking. But I mean, I don't know. After these promos, I was like behind him. Like, I want to see this, happen.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's unfortunate for Trick because it's like people are going to get behind Oba now, essentially. But we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be the battle of the chants when they have their matches.
Yeah, whoop that Trick. Whoop. We go to Fatal Influence backstage. They're talking about Gigi and they start to argue like, oh, she's back and she's in our business. And then it cuts to Tatum and Gigi, who are now friends with Gigi returning, but they're interrupted by Izzy Dame. A lot of interrupting tonight. Izzy says, I'm not done with you. And she's got all this attitude when Shawn Spears, Nico, and Brooks Jensen show up in a very nice Freebirds shirt. Shout out Freebirds. And they're like, Izzy, we have to say you have our approval. And she's like, I don't need your approval from you. I know how impressive I am, and kind of walks off. And Shawn Spears smiles. So the learning chair, who now has Brooks Jensen and this guy, cousin Nico, might be going after Izzy Dame for some reason. So another stable kind of taking shape where NXT loves to have a stable with like at least one woman in it. Seems to be like the thing. Like they all need to have that to complete the group. It's like when you have like a beer league softball team, you have to have at least minimum like one or two women on the team. You can't just do all dudes and stuff. It's in the rules. So maybe that's part of NXT, but not too interested in this Shawn Spears stuff. And Gigi being back doesn't necessarily, hype me up for some of the matches we'll go to, I'm sure.
Shawn Spears needs to learn a little about sort of how to scout talent, because you can't just form this faction and then all of a sudden expect that your approval of others is going to be like, oh wow, like, I got the approval of Shawn Spears. Like you gotta
legend Shawn Spears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that pans out.
We cut back from a commercial. Gigi and Tatum are making their entrance. They must become real good friends. Their new in-ring pose is basically like on top of each other. They start off here against Fatal Attraction. And sorry, this is JC Jane and Jasmine Nix here with Fallon Henley ringside. And they're the good guys here. Gigi and Tatum are in control, and they send Nix, keep throwing her out of the ring here. They do like these double there's a double underhook suplex from Tatum actually on JC that looked really nice for a near fall. Eventually, Fallon shoves Tatum off the top rope, causing her not to like hit a jumping move. And then JC ends up hitting her rolling elbow or the rolling encore on Tatum and gets the win. And then right after the match, they beat down on Tatum and beat down on Gigi on a 3-on-1 beatdown when Shotzi Blackheart comes out to save the day, hitting V-triggers, it looked like, and then a tope cannonball type move.
She was going crazy.
Yeah, she was going balls to the wall. The ballsy badass is back, is what she says with as they cut away. But yeah, Shotzi is back in NXT, and I could imagine whether it's next week or the week after, we get the 6-woman tag of the what are these, the like the goth girls, the like of NXT, Shotzi, Gigi, and Tatum. Versus Fatal Influence, I'm sure is coming. But yeah, Shotzi is back in NXT. I'm sure Robert Stone is shaking in his sockless loafers, but she didn't have the tank, which I miss. But
no, that would have been a very funny run-in if she was driving in on the very slow tank and then
very Austin Powers
just
showing up with the tank. She'll bring it back hopefully. But yeah, Shotzi's back in NXT.
I thought it was a nice full circle moment for her, considering NXT was where she had that pretty bad knee injury that put her on the sidelines for a long time. And it's great to have her back. I mean, the question going forward is going to be like, is she going to become that like rare instance of a main roster person just kind of being brought down to NXT for a while, or is this just a program to get her back into the swing of things and then they'll move her back up to the main roster?
Yeah.
I do have to say her run-in was not that of someone you'd expect who was just coming back from a pretty gnarly injury.
Yeah, I mean, she hit the like crazy tope. They held the ropes for her, and she did like the like dive, almost like a tope cannonball kind of thing. Pretty wild. So, yeah, hopefully, like I don't know if she stays in NXT, but maybe she goes back up to the main roster. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, it was cool to see that.
They had her doing before the injury. You know, they had her doing fun stuff in NXT. So, you know, I'm not against her being down there if they keep using her for things, because I think the biggest issue is always just, you know, no matter where you are, if you're not being used for something, I think then you really are on, you know, you're on board with time, basically.
Yeah. Well, it's cool to see her back, and we will be seeing her wrestle, I'm sure. We got a super chat in the YouTube chat here from DB Spew. Thank you very much, Spew. If you're going to spew into this, appreciate it. Super chats are welcome here on the Post Wrestling YouTube. We definitely appreciate it. And then
it looks like we left him speechless. There was no.
Yeah, no, he didn't say anything. He just said, "Here's $4.99." Thank you. But also, Job Nobley, who's a regular in the chat here, says Fatal Influence needs a guy in it. Job Nobley, that is a fantastic idea. I was just speaking of how it seems like all the factions got a woman in it, where it should be the opposite as well. You should also have one guy in your group too, to whether, you know, you help manage and vice versa and everything. I think that would be a pretty like interesting take, but I'm not quite sure. Yeah, I'm not quite sure who. Maybe
going Ethan Page.
Ethan Page. Oh man, that's not the team I wanted him to form. That we'll get to in a sec. But maybe Riley Osborne. He's got nothing to do since Chase U kind of disbanded.
Right. There's some free agents out there.
Yeah, like Duke. Fatal Influence, like after all that, like that could be something interesting too. So I kind of like that.
My only like non-negotiables, whoever the guy joining the group is, he has to have his own part of the entrance. You know how the camera cuts to all of them on the
ring. Trust me, my normal co-host Davie Portman, when roommates, he used to love doing the JC Jane dance, her entrance that she does. And if you got a dude in the group, he's got to do like his own. You're right, like they all do this pose that it's kind of cringy, but at the same time, it's wrestling, so it's great. Love it. So, we move on. We see Fraxium backstage. They meet up again. Axiom is like, "Hey, I got to talk to you, and we have to chat." And I felt so bad about what happened to you on Saturday, says Axiom, that I got a match. I went to Ava, and I got a match. And Fraser's like, "Wait a second. What are you talking about?" It's like, "Yeah, I got a match next week. Axiom versus Oba Femi." And Fraser is like he's seen a ghost. He's just holding his face like, "Oh my God, my nose is still hurting. My head is still pounding. What do you mean?" And Axiom's like, "Yeah, I'm going to get revenge on you, on hurting. He was hurting my friend," says Axiom. "So I'm going to get revenge."
Fraser was like, "You didn't watch the rest of the show on Saturday? Like,
you didn't watch? Like, dude, no." And he's like, no. I'm going to get my revenge." And Fraser just so upset. Like he's seen a ghost again. And he's like, "Well, that's unfortunate because I also went to Ava and I also got us a match next week for the tag team titles." He's like, "What? So you have 2 matches next week?" Just like what happened to Nathan Frazier. Frazier says, "Hey, at least you wear a mask so no one will be able to see what he does to your face." Which is, I think everyone was saying that after Saturday, like, hey, he's lucky because he has a mask. But next week it is Axiom versus Oba Femi. But also, which we assume is after that match, Axiom and Frazier versus Gallus. So they're fine. They're not losing the titles to Gallus. We're fine. But yeah, that's kind of funny. I like the story, the continuity. Also think Axiom versus Oba could be awesome. So I'm looking forward to this. I liked both their segments here, and I love the back and forth between these two. They've really, really grown on me.
I guess the one thing that had me a little puzzled here was like, is it really a reward for you to just go out and get a match to defend your titles next week? Like, I don't know. Like, I would be looking at Nathan like, do you see the state you're in? Like, I don't know if next week you're ready to.
Yeah, I don't get Nathan's. Yeah, what does Nathan's doesn't make sense.
So Axiom carried their tag match, and the thing that Nathan does as a reward is goes, "Hey, we're gonna do this again next week."
Yeah, how is that
be like,
reward?
What the hell, dude? I want to like skip work next week. Like,
also, like, Ava, wouldn't you be like, hey, actually, your partner already asked for a match, and
So
it was
we need to discuss like the ethics of Ava's booking, because I think it's a little problematic to be consistently doing shows where you're double booking people.
Yeah.
I mean, are we not concerned about the
Injuries.
health of our talent here? I mean, what if something bad
Independent
happens?
contractors, baby. Frazier definitely felt the same way because after this segment, he went on Twitter and Nathan Frazier, WWE Frazier, says, at Ava WWE, do you actively dislike us or something? And Axiom replies, like, why didn't she tell us? And Frazier says, she was legit probably the one that sent out the Timu bloodline to attack us against the Prophets. So,
And then somewhere, someone's in the replies going, you guys can handle this in the DMs, please. We don't need this.
So yeah, we're getting those two matches, and this kind of continues. But I think the titles are safe.
I was honestly curious coming out of the weekend, like how they were going to keep the issues between them going, because it wouldn't be satisfying if they defend their titles and it's just like, okay, we're good now, right?
Yeah.
And there was a lot of different routes this could have went. I was personally guessing they were going to do something about maybe Axiom being angry that he had to carry the tag match because of Nathan selfishly being in the other match that same night as well. Like, I thought there was a lot of ways they could have went with this, and I'm curious to see, like, is the way that they're going with the story the right way, I guess.
I hope it's the same. It's kind of the opposite, where it's like now it's Frazier who's got to do more of the heavy lifting because Axiom is just so beat up, but then he still manages to hit some of his big moves, and then they come off with the victory because we got some other now I got to see Josh Briggs and Inamura versus them. I feel like you could rematch NQCC. There's hopefully we build up the tag division, but they're on this run that hopefully does not end with Gallus.
One-on-one with Oba's rough. That's worse than Iron Survivor, I'd say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're just gonna get thrown against this monster. So we'll see. That match does sound interesting, though. You're getting the flying at it, like the King Kong helicopter spot where he just flies in, like they did it with Javon, where he springboards and then in midair, just like nope.
Yeah, I always love those.
Yeah. We go to our next match. It is the North American Championship on the line. The champ, Tony D, defending against Ethan Page, who really wants this title. I found it funny that Tony D is the obviously Italian mobster character here in NXT, but it's Ethan Page who's wearing, coincidentally, Italian gear. It's like the Italian flag, essentially. It was like white, red, and green, and like the way it looked, I was like, oh, I didn't know... maybe he is of Hamilton Italian descent here, but I thought that was funny. Tony D is throwing him around with some hip tosses and schooling him. When we come back, Ethan's in control from a break, but Tony hits a back suplex to get out of it. Vic Joseph says on commentary, like Booker's like, oh man, Ethan Page, and Vic is like, I don't feel sorry for him. We shouldn't feel sorry for this guy. Like, no one feels sorry for Ethan Page. He's like a bad guy, and he did all this to himself. There's a spinebuster counter from Page, but he ends up hitting a spear instead. So Tony pins him, but it's a 2 count. We get the forget about it countered into an inside cradle, followed up by a DDT from Page for a 2 count. But again, he goes for the Ego's Edge a second time here, and it's countered into a huge spinebuster from Tony D. 1, 2, 3, and he retains the North American Championship. So Ethan Page, we the North, but not the North American champion here tonight.
No, to be completely honest with you, I like that they had this match for Ethan Page's angle, because I feel like if Ethan lost the match this weekend and then just that was what caused him to spiral, it would be kind of like a bit of a sudden shift.
Yeah.
But I feel like him losing the match over the weekend and then being gifted this match really by D'Angelo, a match that he did not earn at all, and still losing that one as well, a match that he didn't even want earlier in the episode. I just think that's the perfect setup for like what's happened to me.
Yeah. So I'll skip ahead to when we come back from the next break. It shows Ethan Page leaving the building with his gear on and everything. And they're like, hey, we want to talk to you. And he's like, no, I can't do this. I just can't do this anymore. He says, I'm better than this. I know I'm better than this, but I've been better, says Page. I lost my way, and I know I'm called all ego, but I don't know if I really am right now. I don't know if I am all ego. I can't even get my NXT title back. I can't even get the North American title. I can't even get the North American title, man. I'm lost and I'm ashamed. And Ethan Page walks off into the parking lot, which is honestly not a smart idea. It's late and it's Florida and it's the NXT parking lot. But yeah, this clearly is setting up to what I've been saying and hoping for months now. Fellow Torontonian Jack, I think we know where this is going because we were both at Josh Alexander's last Toronto indie show. I think we, the North, reunite here in NXT. Hopefully, I'm praying. I'm wanting that North Star, as Megan in the YouTube chat says, that Josh Alexander should come on over to NXT, pick his friend up, Ethan Page, and say, maybe you can't win the world title. Maybe you can't win the North American title, but the North could be tag team champions. Maybe, possibly. That's just me fantasy booking. What do you think?
That would be really fun. Yeah. And I honestly wasn't thinking about that, but it would be, you would turn him face with that, right?
Yeah. Would I think so. I think Josh would be bringing him in, would maybe babyface them. But again, fantasy booking, Fraxium versus the North. Take all my money, please. That is the dream tag team match that we go to. Like, that should be exactly where it is. The fact that he's like,
I guess
I can't do this, I'm lost. Yeah.
If you're gonna turn him face, how do you turn, like, the issue with this week is that in the commentary and in like the writing, like, they don't want you to feel bad for him.
Yeah. They don't. Like, they're like, no, screw this guy. He's
yeah.
Yeah.
Which like, yeah,
can turn around.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think it's so soon to be turning him babyface, but it could also be like a babyface swerve, and then it's like, no, we're actually still bad guys.
Yeah, I guess my thing is like, how long are they going to let this sort of change for him play out? Like, we're not going to see the finished product of this next week, so they have time to let this cook and let this develop. But I mean, I'm invested in this. Like, I want to see what happens with him, and I'm like one of the only people who actually feels a little bad for him. And you know, when I first saw this interview, I just want to throw this out. I thought he was saying no to the interview because he was in the NXT parking lot. I was like, you know what, this is a very smart plan here, looking out for himself. But yeah.
No, I hope it's leading to this. Again, I'm fantasy booking here, but Josh Alexander being an incredible talent. The team of those two worked so well together in the past. It makes a lot of sense. The story is like, oh, I can't do this anymore. I'm lost. I don't know where I'm going. I don't have anybody. I think it makes sense that his friend returns. And then you just establish, you say, hey, we used to be tag team partners before, and we can be partners again. And then eventually go up the ranks and become tag team champion. And I think that could be good. Either they pretend to be baby faces right away and then turn heel, or they are baby faces, or maybe it's like an Angle Benoit where like Ethan's heel and Josh's face, or like I'm not necessarily sure, but
I wouldn't mind if it was like the way Josh is coming in is like seeing his old friend needs help.
Yeah, like as long as I get to see this guy wrestle in a WWE product, like he deserves it so much, and the wrestling will be fantastic. And like Ethan Page became NXT champion already. It's kind of like we don't need another run of that. But we do need some tag teams, and him and Josh would gel. Like on the main roster, they would be killing it down the line. So hopefully this is where it's leading to. Would really love to see the Walking Weapon show up and Toronto represent for sure. Hopefully, we the North. So I did jump ahead, but we went to Lexis King, who is talking to, Ryan Leaf. I don't know who this is, but do you know who this is?
I didn't know Ryan Leaf, but we got a pretty detailed monologue here that filled us in.
Oh my God. Okay. Lexis King, he's been actually pretty good lately. And this run he's on is like, again, call me crazy, but it's actually pretty good. It's working. The PC is working on Pillman Jr. here because I'm turning into a fan of Lexis King. However, I'm not a fan of whoever wrote this here, because he starts off by going, oh, hey, I'm it's Lexis King with this guy, Ryan Leaf, who's a former football player, right? And he goes, hey, Ryan Leaf, nice to see you, three-time NFL former. And he just starts listing his resume. Like, who talks like that? No one goes up to someone and says, oh, hey, and then just lists their resume and then like looks to the camera. It was just so forced. I don't know if this is a CW thing bringing this guy in or whatever, but I did not think the way this was introduced as well. I'm assuming he's like a speaker and like helps people change their life, because Lexus refers to, hey, you told me to help get over some things, was go back and visit Minneapolis, and I did, and it was such a good idea. So he says thank you. And Ryan Leaf, in his best acting chops, says, yeah, you know, you're a good one. You got to go at it. You're going to be something. And this is when Charlie Dempsey shows up and says, you know what? I will give you that Heritage Cup match, but in 2 weeks. And first, next week, you got to work out with me. You got to train with me. And Lexus says, all right, I'm ready. And says, thanks, Ryan Leaf. And then walks off. And I was just like, who the fuck is Ryan Leaf? But looking him up, he seems like he's an all right guy.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't really fault Lexus for the segment, because this seems like something where it's like, hey, Lexus, we wrote this script for you.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some sort of partnership at play here. Can you just read this like word for word?
It's pretty brutal. Like, imagine you talk to people like that.
Because I mean, this segment didn't really like the challenge being accepted didn't could have just been like a tweet. Like, it didn't have to be in a segment. So
yeah.
I think this was just to bring in a special guest. I know some people know Ryan Leaf. I saw some tweets talking about this being like a surprising cameo. But I guess, I don't know.
Shout out Ryan Leaf.
Shout out.
They have an announcement for next week. It's Trick versus Eddie Thorpe for the NXT Championship, Obafemi versus Axiom, and then Fraxium versus Gallus, Mark and Wolfie. Also, Sol Ruka and Zarya versus Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson.
That's a good lineup.
Yeah, pretty solid. And this is in Lowell. This is not in the PC as well.
Right.
So they're going to Mass there. So let us know if anyone's going to Lowell. Let us know. We'd love to hear some thoughts on live reports and stuff. Yeah, lol. We go to our main event. It's Julia and Kalani Jordan taking on Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez. As Julia, the beautiful madness, is making her entrance, she is attacked by Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez, and they start beating her down. Kalani runs out. They're all fighting, and then they roll in the ring, and Kalani ends up hitting this like beautiful corkscrew plancha onto everyone. And Booker T is like, ring the bell. What are you doing, ref? Ring the bell. And Vic says, Book, this ain't reality of wrestling. You can't just make up your own rules, which I was like, oh, shit, which was pretty funny. Book got a laugh at that, I'm sure. The match continues. Kalani hits the classic back spring elbow as the team of Cora Jade and Roxanne retreat as we go to commercial break. I noticed Cora Jade and Roxanne, they're wearing the gear they wore for Halloween Havoc. So they're the Shining twins. So they're recycling. They're like me. I like to recycle my Halloween costumes. They said even though it's not Halloween, it's still matching gear, so we could still wear it. You know, it's fine.
It's good for the environment.
Yeah, you don't just need to wear it once,
Throw
right?
it out.
Like that's just rude. You know, I've worn old Halloween costumes again. It's fine. It's totally normal. So they come back from commercial break. And Perez is in control. She hits a beautiful tope to the outside onto Kalani. And then eventually, though, Kalani throws Cora over top, blocking the CM Punk knee, and tags in Julia here, who's finally in there with Roxanne. And we get this great moment, the stare down with Roxanne and Julia that we know we're getting to at New Year's Evil. We get a very nice headlock, like suplex thing. Julia was hitting all sorts of cool moves here. They're like sit out spinning pile driver thing is nuts. I don't know how she's allowed to do that, but no one else in WWE can do the spinning. Like
it's in the contract.
It's almost like a tombstone, but not quite. I guess safer. There's that, and then Kalani hits the 5-star frog splash, but it's broken up by Cora. Kalani is then hitting all sorts of like RVD style wheel kicks and stuff, but goes to the outside and is hit with pop rocks from Roxanne, and then Julia hits a drop kick. It's all breaking down, and it's Julia and Roxanne who start to fight, and the classic wrestling trope we just hate each other so much we're gonna fight up the ramp,
walking,
and then we're gonna walk through the back and just leave the match, leaving Cora Jade alone with Kalani, who was beaten up by Roxanne earlier, which then allows I think she may have used the bat there as well, and then it's the double arm DDT from Cora, pinning Kalani Jordan for the win. And then she's standing tall, all proud of her dirty work, when Stephanie Vaquer's music hits, but she's not coming down through the ramp. She shows up behind Cora, attacks her, steals the bat, breaks it over her knee, and says like, oh, I'll get you. So I do imagine we're going towards Cora versus Stephanie, and obviously we're going towards Julia and Roxanne at NYE, and I can't wait for that match. This one had some cool stuff in it. Like, I think, again, the commercial break maybe affected my enjoyment of it, because it was entrance, it was a brawl, it was a commercial, and then there was like a few minutes left of the match. So I definitely felt like we missed most of this match because of the commercial break, but all the talent in it were pretty good. Loved seeing Roxanne tie up with Kalani. That's definitely a big match down the line again. But yeah, I still enjoyed it, and it helped further the things. But the hokiness of fighting and brawling up the entrance is so like played out, but it's wrestling.
Yeah, there's a lot of things in wrestling that are just so formulaic that like you almost sigh when it happens, and that's one of the ones where it's like, we don't know how to write them off of this match, so we're just gonna have them brawl to the backstage. I think this match did a good job at sort of giving you a taste of these rivalries, but not giving you too much, considering we're still a month out from the eventual match between Perez and Julia. So I thought that was pretty smart. There was, from what we caught on the broadcast, which wasn't a lot. And to be fair, in Canada, we don't get the picture-in-picture that America does.
No.
But I mean, what we saw was some really fun stuff. The moments you went through there. I think that all four of these women put on really fun matches. So having them all together in a tag match, you're just going to have a lot of, memorable moments.
I'm definitely looking forward to Julia, Roxanne. One more time, hopefully limited commercial where we can really get the match we've been waiting for, that we've been just like, oh, we need to see it. And like, will she win? Will she take it for her? So we know the two big matches for New Year's Evil, which is good, with two big title matches. And like, I wouldn't be crazy to say that maybe both titles change hands. Maybe I kind of want Roxanne's run to last a bit longer. I feel like we could have so many of these singles matches like Zarya, Stephanie, so yeah.
It's tough because, I mean, I want Roxanne on the main roster. I think that she's been ready for a long time, but at the same time, you don't want to take someone away from these programs that are available right now. I feel like you almost have to have this trust that down the road you're gonna get these opportunities again. It's so easy to go like, we have these rivalries ahead in front of us right now. Why don't we just book them while we can? Because you never know. But at the same time, like, you have to give up some things to let other things happen. And with Julia being the possible next champion, I think January is the right time for a title change.
Yeah, I could see it either way. Like, I'd be sad for Roxanne's to end. We have a super chat from Will Chisholm who writes in. Thanks for the $5. Appreciate it. He says, I think Julia wins the title because Netflix wants Roxanne and Trick on Raw, and we get Julia versus Vicaire at Stand and Deliver, I think is what his spell check was supposed to mean. Yeah, if all things go right, Julia versus Stephanie finally one-on-one in NXT at Stand and Deliver, which would be a chef's kiss. Beautiful match. So yeah, I totally see that. Thank you, Will. Super appreciate that. I think we're in great hands. Like, this is the best like women's roster in wrestling, like in a long time, as they love to say on the show now. Like, we got the best roster women's wrestling. Like,
it's true.
They're killing it. And these matches definitely sound interesting. You think that's the end of the show. However, we cut to Ava's office, not Ava's locker, Ava's office. She's there with Eddie Thorpe, and he is signing the title match contract. And she says, here you go. And he says, wow, this is the biggest match in my career. And she says, thank you. You're signed. It's official. We'll see you in LOL. And he says, I deserve this. And she says, yes, sure. But we are going to be looking into who attacked you. We're still trying to figure that out. Oba says it wasn't him. We believe him. He wasn't there. We don't know who it was that took you. And he goes, don't worry. I know who attacked me. And she's like, wait, what? Who attacked you? And Eddie replies, you're looking at him. I got my title match, and I didn't have to go through 25 minutes with 4 other people to get it. See you in LOL. He smiles and he walks off. Wow, what a swerve here. Gee.
Ava, you need to put more clauses in your contracts to call these things off. Because
couldn't you just be like, oh, never mind. Actually, no, take that back. Void. Card subject to change. Sorry.
Yeah, give me that contract back.
No, you don't get the match, actually. Because she acts upset because like he one upped her. She's like, what? How could, like, oh, how could you? Yeah, you know what? I kind of like this logic because he did look like an absolute geek in the segment earlier, minus like stepping up to Trick. I think this is a bit of a swerve.
He turned it
necessarily
around.
Yeah, we don't see this in wrestling too often where it's like, of course, people fake getting attacked and stuff. But yeah, who's the guy who faked an attack? Jesse Smollier, what's his name? Jesse Smollier, who did the fake attack on himself. That's pretty much what Eddie Thorpe did here today. I think I butchered the guy's name, but
I think what's crazy is you have to think like how much trust did Eddie Thorpe put in his system here, because he faked an attack that took him out of a number one contender match, and then he just really had trust in the fact that that positioning would be able to be leveraged for an instant title shot. Like there was a situation where he took himself out of a title shot and then nothing came of that.
Right, like so imagine this didn't work and then
he was playing the long game here.
Yeah, he was like, why do I need to be in this match where I could lose, where I could just pretend and play? He's playing the victim is what
Ava's double booking people. I mean, she's not the most competent manager. I don't trust that she would give me a title shot just based off, logic.
So you know what? As much as I was kind of like, oh, he was a dweeb in the opening, I think they managed to make it interesting and like hopefully the match delivers. He hasn't been the most exciting in NXT. This is the most interesting he's been yet in his entire career with this like attitude, this heel edge. So
this is fun.
Yeah, I'm kind of for it. It was a bit of like a twist at the end of the show, like ooh, cliffhanger.
What I like is that this show sort of changed his character for me in the sense that at the start it was like, okay, well, he's just kind of annoying or whatever, but then by the end of the episode it's like, oh, this is a bad person.
Right. Yeah, like, I deserve it is the most evil thing. Like, I deserve that. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, overall, I had fun watching this episode. I think my favorite match, like wrestling wise, was, we both kind of said, Wes and Javon Evans definitely tore the house down with that one. But everything else kind of wasn't like outstaying its welcome. With the new CW, they do tend to put a lot of commercials in the wrestling, but they do keep it concise. They do try to like make sure everything, is cut perfectly. So I do like the flow a bit better that way, because we get through a lot of stuff. There was a lot of talking on this episode, but it also had a good balance of wrestling and furthering, the next few weeks and New Year's Evil. So I actually like this episode.
They had a lot of ground to cover storyline wise coming out of the last PLE. And that's why this show had a lot of talking segments. And that's why this show, a lot of the matches either didn't get a lot of time or didn't get, too much time to cook, really. So, Wes Lee versus Javon Evans was easily my highlight of the show. It was a really fun match. If they were on every single week, I would be saying the same thing every single week. But, the other matches weren't bad. They were just kind of pretty short and like pretty not notable, I guess. A lot of talking, but I think the way a lot of these storylines were moved ahead was really interesting. And overall, I would say it was a fun watch.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I thought it kind of flew by and it made me interested. I mean, really interested in seeing Trick versus Obo. We talked about how like that's going to be an interesting dynamic with those two. And the same thing with Roxanne and Julia. Like those are two solid matches. No matter what else you add, I'm sure we're going to get a sweet Fraxium match on that show too. So like, yeah, Los Angeles for that. I think that would make it January 7th, I guess the Tuesday.
Yes.
Will be stacked wherever that is. I don't think they necessarily announced where that is going to be, but we know it will be in LA and we know it will be on that Tuesday. So that's our big special we're looking forward to. And so far, like, yeah, things definitely are cooking up here, and I'm for it. As long as we get some solid wrestling, which I did get on Saturday, and NXT is like, still has the weird NXT, whatever you want to call it, like the weird, like it's almost like Degrassi. It's almost like this other planet, this other universe with weird gimmicks and stuff. But the wrestling has been connecting again for me, and I've been enjoying it. So yeah, I'm super looking forward to that.
NXT has easily been the show on a week-to-week basis that I've been enjoying the most.
Do you watch regularly? Like, it seems like you have followed the characters. I know talking to you before, asking you on, we had chatted about NXT, and I was like, okay, I'm not the only crazy person watching NXT. There is other people who watch.
Considering how much wrestling is out there, and considering the fact that I have a job, I can't say I watch everything every week, but like NXT is one of the ones that I'm most consistently watching, just based on the fact that I like watching it more than a lot of other things. It doesn't feel like a chore, or it feels like even when some things don't land, it's just at least a more interesting attempt at something as opposed to a more formulaic and boring thing. But I've been really enjoying NXT, and I think one of these episodes is an example of why I have been interested in it. I mean, we had so many. Just think about the top points from this episode. So many questions came up out of just one episode. We have the 2 main title pictures. We have Ethan Page. We have the tag division. What's going to happen with Fraxium? And that's just like half the show. Like, there was so much other stuff going on. A lot of ground was covered here, and honestly, like, sometimes I'll be watching NXT and I'll be like keeping an eye on the clock, and I'll be like, they still got like 2 matches here and like another segment. Like, I don't think they're gonna make it in time, and they somehow sprint to the finish every single week.
Yeah, no, they do, and they definitely have episodes that I don't like, but
oh yeah,
I got through this one for sure, no problem. It was good. Good time to be a wrestling fan. There's so much going on, whether it's your WWE main roster, your NXT, your AEWs, and beyond, all that stuff. So yeah. Jack, it was a lot of fun for you joining me. Thank you. I super appreciate it. I forgot to put a feedback thread up. Usually this is where I read Frank's or Megan's thoughts, so apologies there. I didn't put it up until right now. So we'll skip feedback there. But I super appreciate you joining me. I had a lot of fun with you, and hopefully we can have you on some more shows down the line. But I want you to let people know where they can like follow you or find some of your work. And hopefully we hear you some more on the post wrestling airwaves.
Well, I guess since we're near the end of the show, I want to make mention that there's been a lot of questions about why Davie Portman got attacked in the Poisonrana parking lot, and you guys have been trying to find out who, and I gotta admit it was me.
You're looking at him.
Yeah, you're looking at him. Are we doing plugs now?
Yeah, go for your plugs, brother. Plug all the plugs you want to plug.
Well, first of all, I mean, again, thank you for the opportunity here. It was awesome to be on this show. It's kind of surreal, which is, I mean, sometimes people downplay it, but like when you listen to something every single week and it becomes honestly a part of your life at that point, it does feel surreal to be a part of it. If anyone wants to follow me, there's my Twitter, Blue Sky. It's all the same name there, at Jack Wannan, Wannan. I do a lot of MMA stuff, but I also tweet about wrestling. I post about wrestling. Post wrestling, I'm doing news stuff for them. I'm doing feature stuff for them. I did an article about a month ago where I traveled to Winnipeg and covered a promotion there. And that type of on-the-ground original reporting is a lot of the stuff that I really want to be doing more for the site. And I think I am going to be, in 2025, putting more of those interesting, reads forward. So, if you want to follow my work, if you want to keep up to date about what's going on, make sure to give me a follow. Feel free to ignore the MMA tweets. Feel free to ignore the tweets about music and tennis and all this other stuff. But yeah, and if you don't follow me, I'll be around in the post wrestling forum and Discord and stuff like that. So
excellent. Yeah, I need to get back on the post wrestling forum. You have to help me defend my name in there, Jack. I haven't been there in a while. I need to get back in. But super appreciate you, man. Like I've been seeing the stuff you've been doing for the site, and you've been killing it. And hopefully we'll have you on down the line. Maybe do like another review, some Patreon shows or whatever. But you killed it, my friend. You get the pass on the developmental NXT brand. One day you might get the call up. John and Wai, they're the agents. They're the Shawn Michaels and Triple H of post wrestling, and maybe they will be happy with your performance. And who knows, you could get the call up down the line. But super appreciate you coming on, and I knew you'd be great after chatting some wrestling with you the past few hangouts. So I'm really happy that you came on, and we will do some stuff down the line. I want to thank everyone out there for listening. As always, you can follow Poisonrana.ca. There's links to our Twitter, our Blue Sky, Instagram, our Facebook. There's a group you can join. Go follow us and all the stuff. We do lots of podcasts, way too many podcasts. I know we have an Eagles Don't Hunt Flies on the Poisonrana free feed. They will be going live on Friday at some point. So go check out our YouTube for that, as well as Shot in the Dark, See No Evil. He covers like so many like wrestling. Like he covers all the wrestling I didn't even know happens.
If I can just jump in, I
Yeah.
love Shot in the Dark because my favorite thing is just like tuning into like a Ring of Honor episode that like nobody has watched.
I feel like
And
he's the only one who watches these things.
There's something so uniting about listening to a show where it's like, I'm not the only person that saw the 3-hour Ring of Honor Halloween episode.
Okay, but Jack, come on. You're saying you watch Ring of Honor every week?
I don't watch Ring of Honor every week, but
you watch WoW?
No.
you knew your limit. There's only so much wrestling you can do in a week.
I think I still watch. I watch more Ring of Honor than most people, and that might be just an hour. But
fair. Yeah. Shout out the New Wave. Shout out John Cena because Shot in the Dark is a great free show. 15 minutes or less. He fills you in on all the wrestling.
Awesome.
We have lots of free shows on there, but we do have a patreon.com/Poisonrana. $5 to become a friend. You get a whole month's access. Gets in your RSS feed. We also have a Spotify, and we got lots and lots of podcasts, movie reviews, wrestling reviews, lots and lots of shows. And it's coming up to the end of the year, which means the best and worst of shows are coming. John and Wei have once again invited Davie and I. We don't know why, but they invited us back on, and we're very excited to do our best and worst of, which will be, I'm working on my list, checking it twice to make sure that's good. But lots of best matches ever and everything as the year kind of winds down. But as always, appreciate everyone out there, all the NXT friends, everyone out there, the postmarks. We can't do this without you. So thank you. Appreciate you. And as always, you can find me, message me, holler at me at the Brady. And that is it. That is all. Davie and I will be back next Tuesday night right here, 10:05 p.m. on Post Wrestling. We will be reunited and it will feel so good. But thank you, everyone. That is it. That is all. Jack, thank you. Take care. Goodbye and be safe. Cheers. I'm trying to end the stream.